It's time for a major new release, 090. 080 brought utter chaos with the release of the action-style carriers. What controversy will Update 9 bring?
All on the bowling, Kitty is my darling. All on the bowling, bowling hall.
Hello and welcome back to Foghorn World of Warships news and also to 2020 Happy New Year. Update 090 goes live this week on NA and CIS on Wednesday and C and EU on Thursday as usual. Does this major release bring some kind of calamitous rework? No, actually, it's a pretty straightforward update. The main feature of both updates 90 and 91 is the release of the British heavy cruiser line split. Aside from that, there are clan battles, some ship and game changes, and some new premiums. Let's take a look. As usual, the release of the Royal Navy heavy cruisers is split across the next two updates, with the tier 5 to 8 ships being available under early release in this update, and the full line from 5 to 10 being available for research in 091. The early release mechanic is pre-rolled bundles, which will be available for tokens and also doubloons if you want some extra chances to get some ships. Remember, though, before you spend doubloons, that the full line is available for free in just a few weeks. If you've not seen the pre-rolled bundles before, the way it works is you go into the armory and see what the first bundles contain, one for tokens and another one for doubloons. The contents are chosen randomly from the list available in the contents. If you want the contents, you can spend a resource to get it, and the armory will then roll the next bundle and show you what's in it. You can see what's available before you spend. The British heavies are capable ships, with good survivability resulting from improved citadel repair potential of 50% and good heals, especially at tier 9 and 10, Drake and Goliath. The closest comparison for these new ships is probably the high-tier German cruisers, so if you like those, you'll probably like these, though of course they have their own character. They're quite loopy arcs, and shorter than average range mean that open water fights should be chosen carefully, although their tankiness does help, especially in late game pushes. They also have single-fire torpedoes. The tier 5 to 8 ships, Hawkins, Devonshire, Surrey and Albemarle all have familiar 203mm guns, while Drake and Goliath, the upcoming tier 8 premium Cheshire, they all have hard-hitting 234mm guns. These have a base HE penetration of 58mm, and obviously the AP can also hit very hard. The reload is slow to compensate, so you'll need to pick your shots a little carefully, and of course you'll have to wait until 091 to get your hands on Drake and Goliath. At the time of recording, Cheshire's release method hasn't been published yet. The tokens required to get the early release bundles from the armory can be won from daily shipments, as well as completing a new series of directives and from daily missions during the update. All very familiar at this point. The 8th season of Clan Battles will start next Wednesday, the 22nd of January, and will run for just over 6 weeks, with the last session on Sunday, the 8th of March. The format will be 7v7 at tier 10, with one battleship and no carriers allowed. The maps will be Hotspot, Sea of Fortune, Tears of the Desert, Crash Zone Alpha, Mountain Range, Land of Fire, and North. On Mountain Range, Land of Fire and North, a modified cyclone is guaranteed to appear at a set time and will always have the same duration and 12km minimum spotting range to ensure that radars don't have too much of an advantage. While random cyclones might not be popular, the standardization of the mechanic on these maps will allow teams to plan for them and deploy knowing that the cyclone will arrive. I'm looking forward to seeing how teams take advantage of this and whether it proves popular. If you're doing clan battles this season, I look forward to seeing you out there. There are 3 separate pieces of news about upgrades, and they're not related, so don't get confused. First, unique upgrades, which most players call legendaries. These are being moved into the Research Bureau at the start of update 092 in about 2 months' time. The current mission series will be phased out. You have until the end of 090, so about 4 weeks, to obtain any legendary missions you don't have yet. You need to play one battle in the relevant tier 10 ship to get the mission. Once you have the mission, it will expire on the 31st of December 2020, when they will all be removed. So during most of the year, the two methods of getting these upgrades will run in parallel. The full details of how much they will cost in the Bureau has not yet been released. As well as changing the method for obtaining them, the upgrades themselves will also be reworked and expanded. There are also changes being made to the special upgrades, which are the ones you buy from the armory for coal. These are currently heavily restricted by class and tier. These restrictions are being removed so that, for example, a Missouri will be able to mount the radar extension upgrade, which is currently not mountable by battleships. Finally, some substantial changes are being made to the standard upgrades, the ones you can buy for credits in the port ship view. There are a large number of changes, so I won't go through them here. Instead, I'll link to the relevant devblog article in the video description and perhaps cover them in a separate video. There are both changes to existing upgrades and also some new ones being introduced. The idea is to make upgrades which are rarely chosen more viable, and to reduce the tendency of everyone to always take the same upgrade, like concealment, for example. I encourage you to read through the article and think about how you might change your existing builds before the changes are made in 091 in 4 weeks. If you have any ARP ships or Southern or Eastern Dragon, these are now becoming full premium ships and will gain the premium credit earning potential, as well as their camouflage becoming a normal demountable premium camouflage with the benefits that brings. If you sold one of these ships, you may be able to get it back. Go and read the customer support pages on the website, and you can raise a ticket to have the ships restored, provided you have enough credits in your port. To celebrate the Lunar New Year, some festive content will be added, including 2 new commanders. The Pan-Asian premium ships Wukong, which is a Charles Martel with deep water torps, Baji, a more accurate longer-ranged Izumo with slower reload, and Siliwangi, similar to Loyang but worse in my opinion, will be added to the game. Watch the news portal for more details. This update brings some significant changes to existing ships. Hindenburg is having its main battery reload buffed by 0.7 seconds. Montana is being given the standard 66% repair party for USM battleships, buffed from her previous 50%. Kremlin is having her AA health nerfed by half. I'm sure players will be wondering if there are more nerfs coming for Kremlin. Błyskawica is having her gun and torpedo firing angles improved to make her more comfortable to play. French destroyers Fusilier, Mogador and Kleber are all having significant detectability nerfs, with Kleber being especially badly hit by the nerf bat. Her surface detection is being increased by a whole kilometre, presumably to stop the multiple Kleber rushing tactic which emerged during the last clan battle season. Perhaps it's time to change back to the no stealth full range build which I used during testing. Finally, Henri is having her acceleration nerfed in order to reduce players' ability to change speed to dodge shells at long range. Again, a change driven by the competitive meta, and all these tier 10 changes of course will have an impact on Clan Battles Season 8. Some visual enhancements are being made. 5 more maps are getting the HDR treatment: Warrior's Path, Okinawa, Sea of Fortune, Atlantic and Trap. Certain areas of the port will now open more quickly. And it will now be possible to benefit from special camouflages and skins even when they've been disabled in the port filters. Instead of seeing, say, anime content, you'll see instead the ship's premium or Type 5 camouflage, but you'll still get the bonuses from the mounted special camo or skin. It's a great change for players like me who prefer a more historical look to the game. Lastly, the way armour is shown in the port has been updated to include more colours and different categories, which are intended to make it easier to understand ships' armour schemes. If you've never studied ships' armour, now is a good time to have a look. I don't normally include news from outside the patch notes in these version updates, but 3 new ships were announced today, and one of them is going to be of great interest to players. Which ships currently have the largest caliber in the game? Musashi and Yamato, right? Not for much longer. Japanese battleship Yashima will have 6 510mm guns on a Yamato-like hull. What will this mean for the game? Probably not as much as you'd expect. 510mm doesn't pass any significant overmatch boundaries, and the larger caliber is compensated for by other weaknesses. She'll probably overpen everything except battleships, but she's certainly going to be interesting to test, with a good potential to be built with a secondary focus. Watch out for that coming to test in probably a few weeks' time, along with the other 3 announced ships: European destroyer Orkan, Japanese destroyer Arashi, which is likely to be an anime collaboration, and German cruiser Egir. Before we get those, however, we'll be getting the new European Tech Tree destroyer line to test, so look out for me playing those on stream soon at twitch.tv/StatsBloke, where you can have a laugh at me attempting to say the Swedish names. That's it for this surprisingly normal update 090. I've been StatsBloke. Please do subscribe and ring the notification bell if you'd like to see more news. You can also support me at twitch.tv/StatsBloke and patreon.com/StatsBloke. If you want to be part of an awesome Discord community full of friendly, helpful players and learn more about the game, please do find the link down below. Take care of each other, and I'll speak to you very soon.